Actually, I had a video that I released this morning. I don't know if you saw it, where I talked to Rocky Cooley. He's a local bodybuilder, type 1 diabetic, lovely guy. And he was saying that the diabetic medication we have actually killing people. And that's the one from CDAP. And the thing is, right, this is not a problem with the doctors, because when he told his doctor about it, which it was a whole story. But anyway, he found out about it from somebody else. He came and talked to his doctor again, and his doctor knew. And his doctor was just like, well, yeah, this is what being provided under CDAP. So this is what we have to give people, because people can't afford their own medication. A lot of people can't afford their own medication, And, well, luckily he was able to pay for his own medication, and that was the proper medication that not going to kill you in the middle in the night, But, I mean, I think that points to, that's indicative of, like, a bigger problem, where we have this institution that people are literally relying on for life, and is giving them things that killing them.
But that's corruption in Trinidad and Tobago. Corruption is systemic. It's in every single thing that we do, and that's the fact of the matter. So when you think about the CDAP program, for instance, you have to blame the state, the pharmaceutical companies, the pharmacies, and the doctors, because they all have a role to play in that, and they all are aware. You have situations where, and this is something that I was privy to recently, where the pharmacies, how they make their money from the CDAP program apparently is based on line items. So let's say, for instance, you are a CDAP recipient, you come in, with your prescription, they will ask you to split your prescription, so that instead of coming and taking a one-off, be it for 3 months worth of medication or 1 month worth of medication, they will say, well, take some now and then come back after. So therefore, they will benefit from that line item twice. And I think it's $8 per item or per line item or something to that effect. But I know that it's a very corrupt practice. You also have within the health sector,
So the line item doesn't have like the amount as well, because if you have a line item for 3 months of medication, should not be less than a line item for 1 month of medication.
You would think so. The common person would think so.
I need to find somebody and see that part, because
So
I feel like I'm just going down a rabbit hole here.
Yeah, it is crazy. And look, at the same time, we have, and this is public information because it was a part of a joint select committee, we have, upon last checks, and it's probably increased by now, $88 million worth of expired drugs in warehouses in Shagaramas. Yeah, and imagine those drugs could have been used, let's say, to send up the islands when they would have faced natural disasters and so on. So this is over, I think it would have been a 10-year period that this would have accumulated. You have a situation where procurement in this country is a big problem. So the RHAs, because they are in one sense a kind of standalone body that could conduct their own affairs and business accordingly with their boards and so on. So the RHAs will see to NIPDEC, because they are the procuring entity for those drugs. They would say, well, we need all these drugs, etc. And NIPDEC will go out and tender accordingly, get the chief medical officer to sign off on the amount and so on, and procure the drugs. But the RHA also has the ability to procure on its own. And you would have people who are associated with the RHA who may go out and say, well, hey, I have these drugs for X, Y, and Z. So let's say you're paying $5 per tablet under the arrangement that NIPDEC would have gotten. Under the RHE leasing independently, they may get $8 per tablet or $10 per tablet. But because of kickbacks and so on, you will go with that $10.
Yeah.
And your people who are making money, and these drugs that have been bought by NIPDEC stays in a container because you already got it here, so you don't need to go and take this from NIPDEC.
So you're basically paying for it twice. We're paying a cheaper price for drugs that we're not using and expiring and going to waste, and then we take the money and paying more money for the drugs that we already have here being expired, just so some people could get kickbacks for it.
Yeah, and one of the things that could ease all of this is technology. Because if you have the system that manages your intake and your outtake to show that this is how much we sent to this RHA or to this health facility and so on, you can track these things so that there will not be double buying. Also, you should be able to anticipate that, okay, this is how much this RHA took over the past 5 years, and how much they actually use, so that if they come forward and say, well, we need 100,000 tablets, but you can say, well, your records show that you've been only using 20,000 per year or so, you can now say, well, we recommend that this should not be procured in this amount. Let's take this much now and move forward. Also, and this came up some years ago in the press, where you have certain health facilities having a lack of drugs and then others having a surplus. That should not be happening on a properly monitored system. So a lot of these entities do not want technology to come into play because it will phase out corruption. If it is that you have to be just going in a room with books and signing people, corruption can flourish in this country. But once we have the proper systems in place to monitor, to evaluate, to track, you would see corruption being lessened significantly to the point where it will be near eradicated. And people will say that's probably in utopia, but at least let's work toward that.
Yeah, so my thing is, okay, I don't know if it's possible to fully get rid of corruption, but the thing is that we have so much ways to be corrupt in Trinidad right now that there's definitely a lot we could do to make a very big difference.
Yep.
You know, a lot of things that we are able to do right now because we have the people for it, we have the expertise, we have the knowledge, we have the drive, you know, so we have everything we need here. I honestly think a lot of this is being actively stopped because, like you said, why aren't we looking to upgrade our systems, to take advantage of technology more? We have world-class programmers down here. When I went to UE, I had friends that I was in UE with, just my year alone, that I think one of them work in Microsoft now, right? I had another friend that he went to some programming competition for Microsoft and won, you know? So like we have real good programmers down here, you know? And we have people like you that want to make this change. So I think there's definitely something actively stopping it. And I think that is something that needs to be found and needs to be stopped.